Go ahead and close your eyes if you can. Together, we're going to take a nice deep inhale through the nose, filling up your lungs all the way to the top. And exhale out the mouth, letting go. Another deep breath in through the nose, filling up your lungs, expanding all the way to the top. And at the top of your breath, hold. And exhale out your mouth, letting go. Really breathing out every bit of air. When you're ready, go ahead and open up your eyes. Welcome to Mindful Moves with me, your host, Daniela Jensch. It is lovely to see you here. It's another week, another episode, and today's topic, if you clicked on this one, I am sure that even just the word embarrassment makes you feel something. And the reason I wanted to speak about this topic today is I had seen a quote the other day that made me feel really strongly about this topic. And the quote was, "Embarrassment is an underexplored emotion." And I couldn't agree more, because you only start to dive deeper into embarrassment when you are trying, when you are actually putting yourself out there, when you are, whether you're trying to build a business or launch something or study something very specific. Maybe you want to try something new, whether it's joining a workout class or wearing something that you've always wanted to wear, but you've been too afraid to do so in your small town. All of these things, when we think about putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable, being visible, sometimes we get shut down by the thought of previous experiences. Maybe when you were younger, you tried to put yourself out there. Maybe by just existing, you were bullied. Maybe you didn't fit in. Maybe you didn't feel a part of the group. And so putting yourself outside of the group can feel very scary. It can feel super daunting because, again, when I spoke about loneliness in the last episode, we spoke about the concept about humans being wired for connection. That's how we run. We need to feel accepted and loved for who we are and a part of a community and a tribe. And so this feeds into today's episode on why we might not go and chase the dreams that we are desperately longing for, the things that you just can't forget about, the things that linger inside you that you want to do, from the smallest to the biggest goals. A big reminder I want to put down right now: when I speak about putting yourself out there and achieving, I do not mean in the standardized sense. I'm not saying you need to go out and become a CEO and start your own business. It can be as small as trying a different color. If you only wear black and you actually secretly love wearing blue, but you've always been told your whole life black is, the best color to wear, and it makes you incognito and you don't stand out and you don't want to stand out, maybe you're desperate to wear blue. It can be as small as that. And I don't want us to minimize our own goals. I want us to always take whatever you feel, and it's part of you. It's part of your being. It's part of your desires of what you want to do and achieve. So don't let anyone downsize it. That's the first thing I want to get out the way. When we think about embarrassment, though, we always have that feeling, oh my goodness, I'm going to be setting myself apart from the group. What I want to remind you is that everybody feels that way. Everyone has these things inside them that they want to bring to fruition and that you want to bring into the world and into your reality. However, if you are going to let yourself be stopped by embarrassment, you are going to live a life of invisibility. And it's not about other people seeing you and observing you, but you will be invisible to yourself. You don't see you because you're not showing up as your full authentic self. So how could you possibly see yourself and give yourself that validation that you need? Because it comes from inside. It's not an external event. You're not going to put on that blue jersey to get everybody's attention. You're going to do it because it makes you happy. And I think we've lost that. We've lost the sense of pushing that comfort zone just 1% or 2% whenever you can. Because obviously your comfort zone feels safe. It makes you feel like nothing can go wrong. But which one is more comfortable? The comfortability of being in your comfort zone, or the uncomfortability of trying something new and listening to that inner feeling. I'm going to vote always with uncomfortability, because I can honestly say I would never be sitting here today. I would never be speaking to anybody. I would never be recording this. And as you guys know, I wrote a book and I have it published. It's out in the world. There are many times where I look at the book and I think, what in the world? Who am I to do this? During the process, there were moments of not feeling good enough, of feeling, why am I doing something like this? But on the other side, there is nothing that has made me prouder, because I know that I followed something deep within me. I didn't let the basis of fear overrule my dreams. To take it a step further, I like to talk about the science behind why we feel embarrassment, or where it comes from, because I love to understand the body. That's why I love the nervous system. It's obviously deeply connected to our entire being, and that comes with the understanding of why we are the way we are. And something that you might not know is that embarrassment actually activates the part of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. And this part of your brain is actually the same area of your brain where pain is registered. So when you think about it in that way, no wonder, if you think back, if you're listening to this right now, think back to a moment that was super embarrassing. You almost have a full body reaction to it. And it's because it's the same part of the brain that gets activated. So with that in mind, you could choose to see it in a negative way. You could say, well, how am I supposed to override that? And how am I supposed to get past that embarrassment? Let me tell you the answer. Practice. Exposure therapy. Doing it until it feels like you could do it any day, because you can actually do it. You don't have the experience. It's like the same thing when you start driving a car. In the beginning, your brain is going a million miles per second. You're trying to remember absolutely everything you've learned. You don't want to mess up, because there's actual real life consequences that happen if you do mess up while driving. And so you could get your license and go and sit at home and never drive again out of fear, and always get someone else to drive you, or take Ubers or whatever it may be. Or you just practice driving and eventually you become a good driver, because you need to actually do the thing. You cannot think about driving and become a good driver. If you sat at home all day and just thought about getting into your car, you closed your eyes, you imagined yourself driving down every single day, it's not going to help you. You need to do the actual actions. And the same thing applies here with embarrassment. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. That's a positive signal to me. Underexplored. When you explore, you venture out. You need to venture out of your comfort zone. Push yourself out. And my biggest help that I've always done is, what's the worst that can happen? Because our brains love to tell us it's the end of the world and that you won't survive it. What's the worst thing that can happen if you put yourself out there? Think about it with me. Maybe someone doesn't like you. Maybe someone makes fun of you. Maybe you get rejected, redirected. Maybe you get told no. If you are putting yourself out there, the only response you will get from people, even if they belittle you, even if they laugh at you, all you're getting is their insecurity flaring up, because they will feel themselves thinking about what they want to do in their life. And they look at you and they think, they're actually doing it. I can't handle this. And so they laugh at you, or they make you feel small. But nobody, and I would really like you to hear this part, nobody can make you feel anything. It's what you allow. It's what you accept. People can have a reaction. Of course, everybody has their reaction. They have their opinions. They have their mindsets. That's all for them to deal with. If you choose to accept it as the truth, that's your first error, because you don't need to accept anything. My biggest tip, and one that I just want to pass over during this episode of embarrassment, laugh it off. We have become so serious as a society. We have intellectualized a lot. And I find laughter in this sense, when we're talking about embarrassment, even if you do something embarrassing and you feel that embarrassment, you can disarm almost any situation by laughing. when it comes to your own feelings, don't do that if someone says something to you and laugh in their face. That's also not ideal. But the point being, you can disarm that feeling within you. Nervous system regulation is a lot about breathing. It's a lot about checking in with yourself. It's a lot about these amazing tools. Do you know one that is not really spoken about enough? Laughing it off. Have a good giggle. Don't take yourself so seriously. And obviously, this applies in certain situations. I'm not saying this is something that could be, used for intense trauma cases. That's really not the point I'm making. But in an example of embarrassment, let's say you decide to wear the style and the closet you actually want to have, and you go out there and someone says, "Wow, what an outfit." You can laugh it off and you can say, "Yes, what an outfit. I feel fantastic." At the end of the day, I can almost guarantee you, you will always have this niggling feeling inside you when you don't do something. You will have those regrets later on in life. And so when you become accustomed to handling that feeling of embarrassment when it comes up for you, guess what? You're going to get used to it, just like we get used to anything in life. If you are exposed to a certain thing for enough or as many times as possible, eventually after that, you will feel used to it. You'll get used to it. Humans are adaptable. It's one of our greatest strengths. It really is. It's that with repetition, with practice, we can almost get used to anything. And so you will get used to maybe feeling embarrassed now and again. And guess what? Then you know what it feels like. So you know what it will feel like in your body when it comes up. And then you can laugh it off. You can speak to yourself. You can say, you know what? They might feel that way, but I'm finished thinking about what other people think. You will feel so free. You will do all the things that you want to do. And I can promise you, you will be the only, I think it's about 1%. In my personal opinion, 1% of people actually go for what they want to go for. The rest of us are behind the scenes thinking about what other people will think of us doing our thing. And that for me just sounds like the worst sentence a life could be, that you are going to diminish your life and the brightness of it and the joy in it because you're scared of what other people think. And they are sitting at home thinking the same thing. People are going to talk anyways. This is something you need to absolutely know in your heart. Whenever you do anything, your friends, your family, the people in your town, whatever it may be, people are going to always have an opinion. The moment you feel comfortable with that and know that they're going to talk anyways, wouldn't you then just live your life? Wouldn't you then just do whatever you want to do anyways because they're going to talk anyways? If you've had this before, I'm sure. You try and be this perfect person and do everything according to plan, and still people will have something to say. And it might not always be positive. Get used to that idea. Move on from that. And so this episode is really, it's going to be short and to the point. I want you guys to feel that embarrassment is something you should explore. Start exploring it, because one thing I can tell you is that every success that I've had in my life, and it's not just on a work level, it's on any relationship or friendship or new acquaintance or new experience or trying something new, a new sport, everything that I've had in my life that has turned into a positive event or turned out to be successful has always gone hand in hand with embarrassment. Always. There has not been a moment where I have said, "Ah, let me start a podcast and just feel super confident from the beginning." I did not. I still to this day don't feel like that. I sit down. I love this process of doing it, but every time I have to share it to the world, I think, "What is going on?" But then each time it got easier. I thought to myself, you know what? There's a few people who actually really enjoy this and they reach out to me, and this, I'm doing it for myself and I'm doing it for them. Let me focus on the people who actually give me beautiful, beautiful energy back. And so if I can do it, that means you can do it, because we are all human. We are intrinsically connected. Our experiences shape us and they are also joint and shared. So if you look up to anybody, if you see someone and you think, oh my goodness, I wish I had a life like that. I wish I did what they did, or I wish I could experience what they experience, and guess what? You can. You have been fed the lie that some people live well and some people don't. That's simply not the truth. You get to decide. Again, it's a choice. But you can flip the switch on nearly anything. You could have it in your head that says, embarrassment is to never be explored, and I don't ever want to feel embarrassed, and I'm going to avoid it at all costs. Or you can think, you know what? It's something I actually don't know that well. It hasn't happened that often. It's happened a handful of times. I'm going to explore it at the cost of actually trying. You just trying is going to give you confidence that you never felt was possible. I can't explain to you how good it feels to do something even when you're scared, even when you're feeling embarrassment, even when you are considering what the outside world will think, but you do it anyways. You show up for yourself anyways. And this is something I'm going to speak about in the next episode. I'm going to speak about self-trust and how to build that. So take this as your motivation, or at least a point of thinking, you know what, I'm going to explore this. Go for what you want to go for, big or small, and do not let the fear, and it's a predicted embarrassment. It hasn't even happened. You're predicting the future. No one can do that, just by the way. Have some hope, have a little bit of a laugh, enjoy the process. We are here for a blink of an eye. It is really, truly, and wholeheartedly up to us to enjoy and have joy and enjoy our experiences. So do so. And remember, and this one is very important today, the light that you are constantly seeking outside of yourself is waiting to be acknowledged within. I'm going to leave you with that for this week's episode. I do want to say, I did forget to mention it in the last two episodes. For season 3 of Mindful Moves, I'm going to be sharing a meditation that correlates with each episode. So, for this episode in Embarrassment, I have created a beautiful meditation that you can listen to. Maybe there's a moment you need a bit of motivation, you just need to calm your nervous system and teach yourself, you know what, I can face this. Please go ahead, feel free to listen to it. I'll link all meditations that correlate to the episode beneath, and I hope you enjoy it. Have a beautiful day. See you next week. Bye.